Runaway. It's a song by me and Sammy Constantine. Let's see how we made it. This is probably the heaviest one on the album. It's kind of like a really just aggressive house song, I guess, in some way. It's always been a funny one for me because to me it sounds quite complex, but it's actually really not. So it's just kind of like a few sounds that are messed with a lot. There's not actually a lot of layers. There's really no form either. It's very much like a progressive house song almost, or yeah, something like that, where the elements are just changing slightly over time, just bringing stuff in and out, instead of really like a standard poppy verse chorus. So this is the project. The main kind of thing you're hearing is this little instrument bus here, which is these 8 tracks. And they're what kind of sticks around the whole track, and just through this bus I'm kind of chucking different effects on at different times. So I've got these compressors acting as like a gate. It's just like a really grimy way of doing it, where I've actually got it on the expansion setting, and because it wasn't like creating enough of a difference between when it was on and off, I threw 3 on. Why not? It's a terrible way of doing it, but it kind of just like distorted it, and I guess probably compressed it in some way as well. I don't know, but I thought it sounded cool, and I think what it was actually doing is it was just boosting the level and having that level boosted through sausage fat, and it made it sound really just like dirty and gross, but I loved it, so I stuck with it. If you know the track, you know it starts like this. So the main kind of elements, we've got this little chordy melody thing that I just like pitched up like crazy, and because I'm using the beats thing and kind of shortening it a lot, it's just kind of turned into a little percussion element, which I thought added some cool, weird texture. We've got this little ARP, which I found and just pitched up or pitched down, seems. Added a bunch of effects, used the same kind of auto pan thing, so I kind of shortened everything and cleaned it up a bit. So this is what that sounds like. I love that. And any sample that's called Japan ARP is going to suck me straight in, of course. I've got these 2 kind of like single note things, and these haven't got too much on them, but the main thing is this auto tune, which is just like on really harshly. And because the note's kind of like wobbling in the original audio, it's kind of flicking between different notes in the auto tune, and it's adding this really weird, like glitchy sound. And if you couldn't notice that one, I'm sure you'll notice it in this one, because it's even more intense, 'cause I think it was super flat or something. Yeah, I love it. I thought they were cool because they kind of tie together these other random chordy samples that I've put together that kind of make up the main chord progression. So I'll show you them one by one, just by themselves. Something about those in that order just sounds really nice to my ears. So that's why it stuck, and it kind of made the foundation of the song. But then I think if you hear the difference with this like lower chord underneath, it just kind of adds a bit more oomph and ties them together a bit. Yeah. And that's kind of like that's the base of the song pretty much. What starts happening is that these compressors here, they're doing the gating. They kind of start coming in about here, I think. Yep. And they're controlled by the synth that's all the way down here, which is just me bashing a note on a keyboard kind of to this rhythm that I thought would be cool with this straight beat. So this is the rhythm I'd played. And that's getting sent up here to these compressors. You can see it coming in here. And it's just like a super short attack and release. So it's really just like a trigger on off. And you can hear what it does. And there's not that much else to it at the moment, just the reverb to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So it's not so harsh. Bit of EQing. This tornado thing, it's just like a really old effect I've been using since like 10 years now. I just use some like distortion preset going into the vocals. You hear that distortion right at the end of the intro, or Ryo as it's called now, because it got split into 2 tracks. But yeah, that's about it. Just a de-esser. I must have thought there was some harsh little frequencies there and that's the easiest way to get rid of them. So yeah, that's the main bit. Then apart from that, we've got another vocal pad. I remember this one, it's kind of just like panned the whole way through, so it's just adding a little bit more rhythm. Sounds like this. It's kind of panning from left to right, so it's just kind of makes you feel like you're spinning, which I thought was a cool effect. It's also got my standard delay technique where I've kind of delayed the right channel by 20 milliseconds, which seems to be the magic number for doing it, just to give it a super wide effect. Yeah, what else? I've duplicated the ARP when the gating is coming on. Like there's already that same ARP layer down here. But when it's going through the gate, you can't really hear it much. So I really wanted to have another layer of it where it's kind of still doing the same thing on top. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the main section, apart from the bass, which is just 2 subs. Pretty standard, like distorted sub bass stuff. Done one in Silent. And I've just done a similar one in Spire. I literally just have I literally just have like a distorted bass preset that I always use in Spire. When I want that really grimy bass, it always adds a nice layer in the back of like a cleaner sub. Hasn't even got any low end. It's just purely for that distortion. Yeah. And apart from that, got the drums, which is just the most intense drums I've probably ever used on a track. Just a ridiculously distorted kick drum. Look at that. It's just clipping all the way to hell. I've got a few that are just kind of emphasizing that 1 and 3 because I really wanted to make it feel almost like an acoustic kit. Like you kind of, instead of just the 4 to the floor, it's like a kick, then a snare. So there's all those kicks. Originally I think I had the snare in there, but I've ended up moving it down here for mixing. So this is the main snare, which again is just distorted to hell in the sample already, and then I've distorted it even more. But my favorite of the drum sounds is probably this one, which is just an Electric Mantis sample that I chopped up, and it's just like an alternating clap, which I thought sounded really cool, which is why it's right at the start when the vocals come in. And that's about it for the main drums. there's also just this hi-hat, which is one I've used. I had this scattered all over the Calling EP. It's just like the most random hi-hat loop that's all completely like the wrong tempo. Like this thing's been read at 56 and it's been pushed to 220 BPM. So it's just going way, way faster than it should do. But it's just like this weird percussion layer, and then I've added a whole bunch of crap on it. So this is what it sounds like in the final track. So it's just absolute mayhem. But yeah, that's the drums. For the ending section, kind of goes down in tempo, and this track was a nightmare for like mixing and especially getting Sammy to record vocals because the tempo is all over the place. If we kind of show it, so it starts off at 150. In this, like right at the end of this intro section, drops right down to nothing. I thought that was super cool because it stretches that arpeggio right out and you can kind of hear all these little grains of audio and stuff. I thought that was cool. So that's this bit. And it's off. Actually, it's probably cool to hear it with the metronome because it just gets obscenely slow. Yeah, so it kind of goes up to 220 after that, and that's where it stays for most of the song, except for this end section, which I remember doing some kind of maths calculation for this, where I was trying to make the triplet notes here equal to the half note in this main section. And I can't remember, something like that. I remember literally pulling out a calculator and doing something here, but I ended up with 220 on the main section and 190 for this triplety section at the end, which sounds like this. And yeah, there's not too much going on. It's literally just the same chords and stuff here, except instead of going through this compressor back here, it's now just like a more consistent sixth note auto pan thing. I added a piano, which was literally like an Ableton audio to MIDI job. I think I literally resampled the entire instrumental section, this section, and just this is what it came up with, which I thought was kind of cool. I actually can't remember. Maybe I did play it. I am not 100% sure. It does look like a weird MIDI to audio thing. I don't know. Pretty sure it was audio to MIDI. But yeah, that's pretty much it, except for the drums at this end section, which has got like this, got a few extra elements to give it that real triplet swing. It's got this offbeat kick. So this is the main one, and this is the offbeat one. It's got a snare, which is literally just a white noise hit. Yeah, I've got this weird little percussion, which is so low in the mix, but if you turn it up, it sounds horrible. And it's just kind of emphasizing those triplets again. And just a little shaker. Yeah, that's about it to this song.